She burst out laughing, eyes gleaming with amusement when her friend said I was beneath her. And I just stood there, feeling like someone had stabbed me straight in the heart. I'm Noah, a 37-year-old guy from San Antonio, Texas, and this isn't just another Reddit drama for you to enjoy. This was the nightmare I lived through, the pain of being disrespected by the woman I loved for 6 years. My wife, Lauren. We had what I thought was a perfect marriage. Weekend strolls along the San Antonio River, movie nights curled up on the couch, and dreams of building a family together. But everything unraveled the moment I met her so-called best friends, the self-proclaimed Texas Queens. From the first time I joined them at an upscale restaurant on Houston Street, I felt the chill. Their looks were judgmental, their smiles fake. They mocked my job, a financial advisor, as if I were some boring, underachieving nobody. "Oh, so you manage retirement funds? Sounds thrilling," one of them quipped, and the whole table erupted in laughter. And Lauren, my wife, laughed along, not once stepping in to defend me. I felt slapped, like everything I'd built. My self-worth from working nights as a bar bouncer to pay for college, the sleepless years I spent growing my practice, was trampled under their designer heels. I confronted Lauren afterward, but she brushed it off. "You're too sensitive, Noah. It was just a joke." But I knew better. It wasn't a joke. It was a lack of respect. And I couldn't live with a woman who wouldn't defend her husband's dignity. I decided to act, not with arguments, but by walking away. A move that stunned Lauren and shattered the smug confidence she wore like a crown. How could I stay with someone who didn't respect me when self-respect is the one thing my father taught me to guard with everything I've got? How could I keep living beside a woman who didn't respect me when self-respect was something my father taught me to protect at all costs? That question haunted me after the day Lauren let her friends mock me, after she laughed along like I was just some joke she could giggle at with her Texas Queens, while my dignity was crushed in front of her. I'm Noah, a 37-year-old man from San Antonio, Texas, and to understand why Lauren's behavior hurt so deeply, I have to go back to the beginning, to the days when I believed our marriage was built on respect, love, and the shared dreams we once whispered to each other. Now I realize that maybe it was all an illusion, an ideal I crafted in my own mind, blind to the red flags that had been waving all along. I met Lauren at a mutual friend's wedding in San Antonio on a warm summer night in 2018. She stood out in the crowd, dark brown hair, piercing blue eyes like the Texas sky after a storm. So stunning, I thought she was out of my league. I was a financial advisor, 6'2", built from my college years working security at a downtown bar. But I never imagined someone like Lauren, a smart, confident, ambitious marketing executive, would give me a second glance. Yet we connected instantly, talking for hours about dreams, family, and the kind of life we both wanted. Just 6 months later, I dropped to one knee along the San Antonio River walk, under a canopy of twinkling lights, and she said yes with a radiant smile I thought would light my world forever. That first year of marriage felt perfect. We bought a cozy house in Alamo Heights, traveled to Mexico and the Bahamas, and dreamed of the day we'd have kids and fill the house with laughter. I was raised in a Texas household where my father, a former Army sergeant, drilled into me and my 3 brothers that self-respect was non-negotiable. "Noah," he told me after a kid bullied me in 5th grade, "you teach people how to treat you. If you let them walk on you once, they'll keep walking." I lived my life by that lesson, working tirelessly to build a career, to be a man my father could be proud of. But Lauren, the woman I loved, never understood that value, and I didn't see it until she changed, until she brought me into the orbit of her Texas Queens and let them tear me down while she watched and laughed. How could I have known that the woman I married didn't respect me, when I'd believed our marriage was supposed to be a place of safety, of unwavering support? How could I have known that the woman I loved didn't respect me, when I'd always believed our marriage was a safe space? Is the question that haunted me after those seemingly perfect early days with Lauren, after I realized there had been red flags in our relationship in San Antonio, Texas, that I had ignored for far too long. I'm Noah, and everything began to change the day Lauren introduced me to her tight-knit college friend group, the self-proclaimed Texas Queens. From the very first encounter, I felt their coldness and condescension, as if I didn't belong in their polished, curated world. But the deepest wound came from Lauren herself. Not only did she not defend me, she joined in their mockery as if my self-worth meant nothing. It was a Sunday brunch at a trendy restaurant on Houston Street in downtown San Antonio. Lauren beamed with excitement as she introduced me to her 3 best friends, the ones she proudly referred to as her Texas Queens. They were sharply dressed, loud with laughter, and from the moment we shook hands, I could sense the falseness behind their smiles. "So, Noah, what do you do that keeps you so busy?" one of them asked, voice sweet but eyes calculating. "I'm a financial advisor," I replied calmly. "I help high-net-worth individuals manage their portfolios and build long-term strategies." No sooner had I finished speaking than another chimed in with a smirk. "Oh, so you help people manage retirement funds? How exciting." The table erupted in laughter, as if the career I'd poured years of hard work into was a punchline. And Lauren, my wife, laughed with them, her eyes sparkling with amusement. Not a single word in my defense. I tried to brush it off, telling myself maybe they were just being playful, maybe they needed time to get to know me. But inside, I felt a growing distance, like the vast Palo Duro Canyon here in Texas, deep and cold. How could I have known that this brunch was just the beginning of more public humiliations to come, where the Texas queens would not only continue to belittle me, but gradually turn Lauren into someone I barely recognized, someone who stood silently as I was torn down, someone who laughed while my dignity was stripped away in plain sight? That first encounter with the Texas queens was only the beginning, a prelude to the public mockery that would follow, when Lauren's friends not only looked down on me, but slowly turned her into a stranger to her own husband. I'm Noah, and I tried to brush it off at first, telling myself maybe I was just being sensitive, maybe they were just teasing. But over time, it became clear. Their disrespect wasn't a joke. It was real. And what hurt the most wasn't their condescension. It was Lauren's complicity. How she laughed with them, how she joined in, like my dignity meant nothing to her. Things only got worse in the weeks that followed. One night at our house in Alamo Heights, the Texas Queens came over for drinks before heading to the clubs downtown. I tried to be polite, to play the good host, but the barbed comments never stopped. Noah, have you ever thought about doing something more exciting? One of them asked, voice soaked in sarcasm. I mean, financial advising sounds a little dull, right, Lauren? The whole group burst into laughter, and Lauren, my wife, laughed right along with them, nodding as if it were obvious. Yeah, sometimes I think so too, she said with that same glimmer in her eye, the one that used to be my favorite thing about her. Now it felt like a blade twisting in my chest. I sat there, silent, as if every long night I'd worked, every year I'd spent building my career, from the days I worked security at a dive bar to pay for college, meant nothing. They called me Beneath Lauren, as if I were some project she outgrew, and she didn't even flinch. She giggled like it was cute, like it was true. I couldn't take it anymore. After they left, I confronted Lauren right there in the living room. You think that was funny, Lauren? Letting your friends mock me like that? Is that normal to you? I asked, my voice shaking with anger. But she brushed it off, her gaze distracted like I was overreacting. You're too sensitive, Noah. It's just teasing. They joke with everyone. It's not that serious. But I knew it wasn't just teasing. It was disrespect. It was betrayal. And in that moment, I felt completely alone in my own home, like the cold, brittle air of a Texas prairie after a hard frost. How could I keep living with a wife who wouldn't defend me when the mockery was no longer subtle, and I was about to uncover something even more painful? I was about to uncover something far more painful than public mockery. Something that would make me realize Lauren didn't just tolerate the ridicule from the Texas queens. She enjoyed it. After that night, they came over to drink before heading downtown. Laughing at my expense while Lauren giggled alongside them, I confronted her. She brushed me off, told me I was too sensitive. It's just a joke, Noah, she said. But I knew it wasn't. It was disrespect. And in my own home, I felt more alone than ever. The truth shattered everything on a quiet afternoon in San Antonio. Lauren had used my laptop a few days earlier when hers broke, and she forgot to log out of her WhatsApp account. I opened the laptop to check an email, and there it was, her messages syncing in real time. My first instinct was to close it. I knew I shouldn't look. But then I saw it. A group chat called Texas Queens, and my name popping up over and over again. Curiosity became dread as I clicked it open. What I found felt like a knife straight to the heart. The mockery wasn't limited to their girls' nights. It was constant, cruel, and behind my back. One message read, Lauren, your guy is seriously boring, always talking about retirement funds. Why'd you settle for such a snooze? And Lauren, she replied, ha ha ha, I ask myself that sometimes. Laughter emojis followed like a wave of knives. Then another chimed in. You deserve someone more successful like my husband. He just bought a second home in Lake Travis. Lauren's response? Yeah, I know ones. But Noah's sweet in his own way. Like a little puppy dog. I stared at the screen, hands trembling, heart pounding. The woman I married, the one I thought loved and respected me, didn't just let her friends mock me. She joined them. She fed it, compared me to other men, called me a puppy. It felt like the ground disappeared under my feet. I was standing in the middle of a storm on the Texas plains, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. She wasn't defending me, she wasn't proud of me. I was her private joke. A man she came home to, not because she respected me, but because I was safe, sweet, convenient. And in that moment, I knew I had to face a choice, one that would change everything. How could I stay married to someone who saw me as a punchline? How could I keep building a life with someone who never saw my worth? I had to face a choice that would change everything. After learning Lauren didn't respect me, after reading the cruel messages in the Texas Queens group chat, after realizing my wife not only tolerated the mockery but actively joined in, laughing at me like I was a joke. I'm Noah, and I couldn't keep living with a woman who treated my self-respect, the one thing my father taught me to protect at all costs, as something worthless. I had endured enough public ridicule, enough sneering smiles from the Texas Queens, and enough of Lauren's indifference in San Antonio. That night, I decided to draw the line, not with a fight, but with an ultimatum, a choice that I knew would change our marriage forever. When Lauren walked into our home in Alamo Heights, I was already sitting on the couch, laptop open in front of me with the Texas Queens group chat still logged in. She'd forgotten to log out. She smiled like it was any other day, leaning in to kiss me, but I raised my hand to stop her. "You forgot to log out of WhatsApp on my laptop," I said, my voice cold like a winter wind across the West Texas plains. Lauren froze, her face going pale the moment she realized what I'd seen. "Noah, how much did you read?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Enough to know what you and your friends really think of me," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady even as the fury inside me raged like a wildfire through the Texas prairie. I read back the messages, one by one, the ones where she and the Texas Queens called me boring, beneath her, and compared me to more successful men. "Do you think I'm a joke, Lauren? Do you think I'm not good enough for you?" I asked, my voice cracking with pain. She tried to justify it, tears streaming down her face. "It was just joking, Noah. You're being too sensitive. My friends tease everyone. It's not serious." But I cut her off. "This isn't teasing. This is disrespect. And you didn't defend me. You laughed with them." Then I gave her the ultimatum, my voice firm and final. "Lauren, you choose. Cut them off right now in front of me, or we're getting a divorce." She stood there, stunned, her eyes darting around, and then she hesitated. She actually hesitated, as if holding on to the Texas Queens mattered more than her own husband. "I can't cut them off," she said quietly. "They're my best friends from college, Noah. You can't ask me to do that." I nodded, feeling the world collapse around me. "All right, you've made your choice. And now, I'll make mine." How could I keep living with Lauren when she chose her friends over my self-respect, knowing full well that the drama of divorce was only just beginning? The drama of divorce had only just begun, after Lauren chose her friends over my self-respect, after she picked the Texas Queens instead of standing by her husband, after that night when I gave her the ultimatum and she hesitated to cut them off. I'm Noah, and I walked out right after that, without saying another word, deciding I couldn't stay with a woman who didn't respect me. A woman who had turned me into a punchline in our own home in Alamo Heights, San Antonio. But I didn't expect Lauren to turn the divorce into a full-blown stage for drama, trying to prove that I was the one who lost while I quietly focused on rebuilding myself, creating a new life she never saw coming. Lauren, smug after I left, seemed convinced I would regret my decision. She started flaunting her happy life all over social media, posting pictures from upscale bars on Riverwalk, getaway trips to Dallas with the Texas Queens, and cryptic captions about freedom and living life to the fullest. She wanted me to see that she was thriving without me, that I was the one who walked away from something great. "Noah will realize what he lost," she told her friends, according to a mutual acquaintance in San Antonio. But I didn't care. I stayed silent. I didn't respond, didn't comment, didn't give her a single sign that I was in pain. I focused on myself, hit the gym near my place, poured myself into my work at the financial advisory firm, and quietly started building a life I knew would shock Lauren when she eventually saw me thriving. Meanwhile, my family and friends in Texas initially thought I was overreacting. "Noah, you're blowing this out of proportion," my mom said over the phone, her voice full of concern. "Every marriage hits rough patches. You two should go to counseling." But I couldn't fully explain what it felt like to be disrespected and belittled until my father came to see me in San Antonio. He sat me down and at first told me I was being rash. But when I opened my laptop and showed him the Texas Queens group chat, the messages where Lauren called me boring and beneath her, his face shifted from skeptical to furious. He placed a firm hand on my shoulder and said in his deep voice, "Do what you have to do, son." How could I move forward when Lauren had not only destroyed my self-worth, but made me realize she may have never truly loved me at all? How could I go on, knowing Lauren didn't just destroy my self-respect, but maybe never truly loved me at all? That question haunted me after my father backed my decision to file for divorce, and after Lauren started flaunting her so-called fun life on social media, trying to make me look like the loser. I'm Noah, and I left our home in Alamo Heights, San Antonio, determined never to return. But I needed answers. Why did Lauren let the Texas Queens mock me? Why did she laugh along? Why did she choose her friends over defending her own husband? To understand, I had to dig deep into her psychology, and what I discovered only solidified my resolve to walk away for good. According to psychology, Lauren's behavior was a textbook case of narcissistic tendencies. People like her crave admiration. They constantly need validation from others, and they often lack real empathy. Lauren built a flawless online persona, successful marketing executive, picture-perfect wife, the center of her social circle. But all of it was just a mask. Underneath, insecurity. She needed her friends' approval to feel worthy. And when the Texas Queens said I was boring or beneath her, she didn't defend me because she feared they'd judge her too. She feared looking like she had settled. Her narcissism made her prioritize image over love, over loyalty, over the man who stood by her for 6 years. The truth? She didn't love me for who I was. She loved the idea of having a husband she could show off. I was never her partner. I was an accessory in her curated lifestyle. And when I no longer fit that image, she tossed me aside like last season's handbag. But the deepest cut wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing she had never truly seen my worth. All those late nights building my career, morning walks along the San Antonio River, our vacations in Mexico, every moment had been real to me. But to her, just props in a story she told the world about how perfect her life was. How could I stay married to someone like that? I couldn't. And now I know. It's time to rebuild. Wiser, stronger, and this time, with someone who values me not as a trophy, but as a man. Because this journey, my journey, was never about revenge. It's about reclaiming my worth. Now I had to rebuild my life, stronger than ever. That's what I kept telling myself after realizing Lauren never truly loved me. After understanding that her narcissism led her to treat my self-respect like it meant nothing. I'm Noah, and I had just walked away from a toxic marriage in San Antonio, leaving behind the betrayal of Lauren and the Texas Queens. I refused to let their ridicule define me. I didn't want to live in bitterness or regret. I wanted to focus on myself, turn pain into fuel, and prove I was never beneath anyone. I started rebuilding, not just to move past Lauren, but to become the best version of myself, the kind of man my father would be proud of. Right after leaving our home in Alamo Heights, I threw myself into self-improvement. I hit the gym near my place in San Antonio every day, determined to rebuild both my body and my mindset. Within a few months, I dropped my body fat from 22% to 14%. I felt stronger, leaner, and more confident, like I was finally reclaiming the man I'd lost after years of being made to feel small by Lauren and her circle. But I didn't stop there. I launched a project I'd dreamed about for years, a business in sports nutrition consulting. I combined my background in finance with my passion for fitness to help athletes across Texas plan long-term health and wealth strategies. I worked nonstop, early mornings in my tiny Southtown office, late nights researching and designing programs, and it paid off. My first client was a local football player in San Antonio who returned to the field 3 weeks ahead of schedule thanks to my program. Word spread quickly. More athletes came. I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving, doing something I loved, building something real. While Lauren posted her happy, wild, and free selfies online, I stayed quiet. I didn't need to prove anything to her. I was doing this for me. For the self-worth my father taught me never to compromise. What I didn't expect was that this journey of healing would lead me to someone new. A woman who would see me, respect me, and love me. Not for who she wanted me to be, but for exactly who I am. Rebuilding myself didn't just help me rediscover who I was. It led me to a new kind of love. A woman who truly respected me, who loved me for exactly who I am. After months of focusing on my own growth, dropping body fat, launching my sports nutrition consulting business in San Antonio, I never expected life would bring me someone like Chloe. Someone nothing like Lauren, the woman who once let the Texas Queens mock me without lifting a finger to defend me. Meeting Chloe wasn't just a turning point. It was proof that protecting my self-worth had opened the door to something far greater than I ever imagined. I met Chloe at a sports performance summit in Dallas during the summer of 2024, while scouting for partners to expand my consulting company. Chloe, a 32-year-old former pro volleyball player turned sports rehab coach, was working at a performance center in the city, standing 5'10". With a strong athletic build and a radiant smile like Texas sunshine after a summer storm, she instantly caught my attention. But it wasn't just her appearance. It was her confidence, her grounded energy, and the way she spoke with no filters and no games. We started collaborating on recovery programs for athletes, and soon our work sessions at my small Southtown office turned into laid-back dinners at the Rustic on Pearl Street. We shared laughs, goals, even memories we'd long buried. Chloe was nothing like Lauren. She didn't need to flaunt herself to be validated. She didn't need anyone's applause to feel worthy. She respected me. She supported me. She loved me for who I was, not for what I could offer to make her look more successful in front of friends. A few months in, Chloe and I decided to open a full-scale sports performance center in San Antonio. We combined our expertise, Mine in nutrition and finance, hers in rehab and training to help athletes unlock their full potential. The center took off fast. Clients poured in. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was living a whole new life. A life without the ghosts of Lauren, without the mockery, without the disrespect. Chloe made me believe in love again. She made me feel seen, respected, and appreciated, just like my father always taught me a real man deserves. And little did I know, Lauren was watching it all unfold from a distance. Watching me thrive. Watching me loved. Watching the man she once mocked become someone she never thought I could be. Lauren broke down the moment she saw me happy with Chloe, when she realized she had lost the very man she once looked down on. This came after months of me rebuilding my life through love, through focus, and through the new sports performance center Chloe and I launched in San Antonio. I'm Noah, and I never imagined that Lauren, who once flaunted her freedom and wild single life after our divorce, would ever come back. But she did. Not out of love, out of regret. Because she finally saw just how badly she had messed up, by letting the Texas Queens mock me, by refusing to defend my self-respect. It started with social media. I posted photos of the new performance center, training sessions with Chloe, and glimpses of the joy I never had with Lauren. A mutual friend from San Antonio told me Lauren had been asking questions, whether I was dating, how my business was doing, and if I ever mentioned her. She keeps bringing you up, Noah, they said, like she can't stand watching you thrive. And then one day, Lauren showed up, at my gym in Southtown, while I was working with a client. She looked different, still trying to look put together, but her eyes were tired, hollow, regret written all over her face. Noah, can I talk to you for a minute? She asked, voice trembling. I walked her into the small office, kept my tone flat. What do you want, Lauren? She looked down, then up again, tears streaming. I'm sorry, Noah. I was wrong. I was wrong to let my friends mock you, to not stand up for you. I realize now I lost the best man I've ever had. I didn't flinch. I didn't waver. I just looked at her and saw someone I didn't even recognize anymore. A stranger. She went on, choking on the words. I see you happy with Chloe, and I can't stand it. I want to come back. I want to start over, Noah. But I shook my head. Cold. Clear. Final. Lauren, you chose the Texas Queens over me, and now you have to live with that choice. I found real happiness, something you were never able to give me. She broke down crying, but I felt nothing. No pity, no softness, no temptation to forgive. Because she wasn't sorry she hurt me. She was sorry I turned out fine without her. How could I ever forgive someone who only regrets walking away when they see you finally started to fly? Lauren's life began to unravel completely, because her regret was never about love. It was about seeing me succeed without her. This happened after that day she came to my gym in San Antonio, begging for another chance. But I had already moved on. I was happy with Chloe, and there was no room left for Lauren in the life I rebuilt. I'm Noah, and I never imagined that Lauren, the same woman who once believed I'd regret divorcing her, would now be facing consequences far harsher than I ever could have predicted. While I focused on building a new life in Texas, Lauren spiraled into loneliness and failure. She lost her job as a marketing director just a few months after the divorce, laid off during downsizing at her San Antonio firm. She tried applying elsewhere, but her professional reputation had quietly crumbled after the Texas Queens fell apart, the very group she chose over me. One of them moved away for her husband's job. Another had kids. The last became distant and absorbed in her own life. The clique Lauren once believed would be her lifelong support system? Gone. And just like that, the texts went unanswered. Calls went straight to voicemail. She spiraled. Fast. Lauren had been surviving off the money she got from selling our home in Alamo Heights, the house we once built together. But it didn't last. She burned through it quickly, trying to maintain the flashy lifestyle she once flaunted all over social media. Her Instagram, once full of Dallas trips and champagne brunches, became a sad feed of vague posts about fake friends and hard lessons. A mutual friend in San Antonio told me she couldn't even afford rent anymore, and eventually had to move back in with her parents in Florida. She now works a desk job, earning barely half of what she used to. But the worst part? It wasn't just the money. It was the silence. Lauren tried reconnecting with old circles, but people kept their distance. She'd gone from the center of attention to a name people whispered about with pity. Once known for her charm and confidence, she was now seen as someone toxic. Someone who let her ego destroy the people who truly cared. And now, no one wanted to be near her. She was truly alone. The eyes that once sparkled with smug superiority, now hollow, empty, like a Texas sky after a storm has stripped it bare. How could I possibly feel sympathy for Lauren now? She wasn't destroyed by me, she destroyed herself. All I did was walk away and protect the self-worth my father always told me to guard with everything I had. I learned the greatest lesson about self-respect and my own worth after Lauren destroyed her own life. After she fell into loneliness, lost her job, and ended up moving back in with her parents in Florida, while I continued moving forward in San Antonio. I'm Noah, and I don't feel sorry for Lauren. Not because I'm cold, but because I now understand something deeper. The self-respect I protected by walking away gave me a life I never could have had if I'd stayed with someone who disrespected me the way she and the Texas Queens did. To truly make sense of my journey, I had to look deep into the psychology behind self-respect. And this lesson isn't just for me. It's for all of you out there in Texas. For anyone listening to this Reddit drama who may be facing disrespect in their own lives right now. According to psychology, what I defended was rooted in something called self-respect theory. The idea that your personal worth is the foundation for living true to yourself. When Lauren and her friends mocked me, called me boring and beneath her, they didn't just hurt my feelings. They attacked my dignity, the core of who I was. And my father, a retired Army sergeant from Texas, raised me to never let that slide. Noah, you teach people how to treat you. He told me when I was just a kid, and I've lived by that lesson ever since. Leaving Lauren wasn't giving up. It was protecting my identity. It was a choice that gave me the space to rebuild, to grow stronger. After the divorce, I put myself first. I dropped my body fat from 22% to 14%, launched a sports nutrition consulting business, and met the love of my life, Chloe. Everything I've accomplished, from the Performance Center in San Antonio to early morning runs by the San Antonio River, all of it came from that one decision: to protect my self-respect and never let anyone walk over my worth again. Self-respect theory taught me that when you guard your dignity, you don't just survive, you thrive. You become the best version of yourself, like wildflowers blooming across the Texas prairie after a heavy storm. The biggest lesson I want to share with all of you, whether you're in Texas or anywhere else, is this. Self-respect is the foundation of your value. Don't let anyone make you feel unworthy, like Lauren did to me. You can overcome it, just like I did, and you can find light after darkness. So, how do we better understand the value of family and roots? When I came to realize that walking away was the only way to honor what my father taught me, how do we come to truly understand the meaning of family? When I realized that walking away was the only way to protect what my father taught me? That's the question I kept asking myself after I learned the greatest lesson about self-respect. After I stood up for my worth and built a new life in San Antonio, while Lauren fell into regret and loneliness. I'm Noah, and leaving Lauren didn't just help me rediscover who I was. It forced me to reflect deeply on what family truly means. These weren't just abstract values, but living lessons my father, a retired Army sergeant from Texas, carved into my heart from the time I was a boy. And those values didn't just help me survive Lauren's disrespect. They shaped how I now live, how I now love, and how I'm building something real with Chloe. A life I never would have had if I stayed in a marriage without respect. My father once told me that family isn't just the people you share blood with. It's the people who honor your worth and protect your dignity. Noah, he said, after I came home crying from being bullied in school, don't you ever let someone walk all over your self-respect, not even someone you love. That lesson stayed with me. It led me to walk away from Lauren because I finally saw that a real family doesn't make you feel small. It doesn't mock you or turn you into a joke the way Lauren and the Texas Queens did. And looking back now, I feel grateful that we never had kids. Because if we had, I would have been forever tied to someone who stood for everything my father warned me against. Selfishness, pride, and a lack of empathy. Leaving, as painful as it was, allowed me to protect what my father taught me. Real family is a place where you feel safe, loved, and respected. Chloe, the woman I met in this new chapter of my life in San Antonio, showed me exactly that. She didn't just love me, she respected me, supported me, and stood by me the way my own parents always did. And in her, I found the foundation for the kind of family I hope to build one day. One rooted in real love, mutual respect, and unwavering support. Reflecting on the meaning of family, I now see that sometimes walking away is the only way to protect what you believe in. I left Lauren not just for myself, but for the future I want to build. And this isn't just a lesson for me. It's a reminder to all of you out there in Texas listening to this Reddit drama. Treasure the people who truly love and respect you, just like I found in Chloe. So, how do we keep moving forward? When I now understand that real relationships are what give life its true meaning. Genuine relationships are what give life its true meaning. That's the lesson I came to understand after reflecting on the family values my father instilled in me. After realizing that walking away was the only way to protect my self-respect from Lauren and the Texas Queens. I'm Noah, and this journey in San Antonio didn't just help me rediscover myself through work and a new love with Chloe. It taught me that real relationships, like the ones I have with Chloe, my family, and the people who truly value me, are what I need to live a life that actually matters. And I want to share this lesson with all of you listening in Texas and beyond, especially those who love a good Reddit drama, so you too can find light in relationships built on love and respect. My relationship with Chloe is the clearest example of the power of authenticity. Unlike Lauren, who let her friends tear me down, Chloe respects me for who I am. A financial advisor in San Antonio who worked his way up from nothing. We run along the San Antonio Riverwalk in the early mornings, grow our athletic performance center in Southtown together, and share our dreams without needing to impress anyone or seek outside validation. Chloe never makes me feel small, never turns me into a punchline. She loves me because I'm Noah, not because I can make her look successful in front of her friends. Our love is honest, free of mind games and the fake image building I endured with Lauren. My family, especially my father, has also been a cornerstone in this journey. He not only supported me when I walked away from Lauren, but reminded me that real family is where you're loved and respected, just like he and my mom have always done, and like Chloe does now in my life. The greatest lesson I want to leave with you, all of you listening in Texas or wherever you are, is this. Find genuine relationships. Surround yourself with people who love and respect you for who you are, not for what you can give them. Don't let people like Lauren or the Texas Queens make you feel small, because you deserve real love, just like I found in Chloe. Treasure the people who truly stand by you, like my family and Chloe, because they'll be the light that carries you through your darkest days. So how can we share this message with others, so more people can find their light after the darkness, just like I did through my story? How can we spread this lesson, so others can also find light after the darkness, just like I did through my story? That's the question I've been asking myself ever since I realized the power of genuine relationships with Chloe and my family. I'm Noah, and this Reddit drama story isn't just about surviving disrespect from Lauren and the Texas Queens in San Antonio. It's about self-respect, family values, and finding your way back to the light during your darkest days. And I hope this story speaks to your heart, whether you're here for entertainment or because you felt the sting of disrespect yourself. My journey, from those painful nights when Lauren let her friends laugh at me, to the days I rebuilt my life through work and a real grounded love with Chloe, is proof that you are never alone. I've learned that self-respect is the most powerful strength you can have. When Lauren and her friends called me boring and beneath her, I walked away, not because I was weak, but because I knew I deserved better. I rebuilt my life in San Antonio, opened a performance center, found a true partner in Chloe, and came to understand that real family is where you're loved and valued, just like my dad always taught me. Lauren paid the price for her arrogance. She lost her job, her friends, and now lives in loneliness in Florida. But I'm not telling this story to shame her. I'm telling it to remind you that you can get through it too. Don't let anyone make you feel small, like Lauren once did to me. Protect your self-worth. Surround yourself with people who love you for who you are, like Chloe and my family did for me. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve to live a life you're proud of, whether you're in San Antonio, Dallas, or anywhere in Texas. So now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been disrespected by a partner? Or by their friends? What did you do to protect your self-respect, like I did? Share your story in the comments. Let's break the silence together. Let's inspire one another. Because your voice matters, and you are not alone. And now I ask again, how can we keep spreading this lesson with simple but powerful actions to help each other through the darkness? We keep spreading this message through simple, meaningful actions that help each other through the darkness. That's what I thought about after sharing my story, after asking you, my listeners in Texas, about the times you were disrespected and how you stood up for your self-worth, like I did when I walked away from Lauren and the Texas Queens. I'm Noah, and I don't want this Reddit drama story to just end with me rebuilding my life in San Antonio. I want it to be a spark, something that inspires you to remember. You deserve respect, you deserve love, and you can find light after the darkest days. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. Start by sharing your story in the comments. Have you ever been belittled by a partner or their friends? What did you do to protect your self-respect, the way I did when I left Lauren to find myself again? I want to hear your truth, because every story has value. Every story can lift someone else up, just like my story. Leaving behind the disrespect, rebuilding with my sports performance center in San Antonio, and finding real love with Chloe, your story can show someone they're not alone. Let's break the silence, together. Let's build a community that honors self-respect and real, honest love. And if this story touched you, if it gave you hope, or made you reflect on your own worth, please hit that like button so I know it resonated. And if you know someone in Texas, maybe in San Antonio, Dallas, or anywhere, who needs to hear this to find strength in their own storm, send this video their way. Let them know they are not alone. Don't forget to subscribe for more Texas-style Reddit drama stories. Stories that'll make you laugh, cry, and feel seen. Because yes, you can make it through anything. Just like I did. I can't wait to read your stories in the comments. Thank you for being part of my journey. From darkness to light, from disrespect to self-worth, from pain to peace. And now the question is, how do we keep this journey going? with the next story that you absolutely won't want to miss, coming up next.